Hello, I'm Christopher Rennes, and welcome to this edition of Campus Views, coming to you from the video production studio here on the campus of SUNY Cobleskill. This is a student-powered production of the Spring 2023 semester COMM 240 Introduction to Studio Production class. Our guest today is Ryan Sinclair, and on this edition of Campus Views, our topic is the residential director role. Thank you for joining us today. For those in the audience that are not familiar with the residential director role, could you tell us what you do?
Sure. So first off, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So a little bit about what I do is I am kind of like the overseer, supervisor of the sophomore experience. So I oversee both Roman and Weeding halls. And we pretty much take care of all the administrative needs for the building, for all the residents that are there. Any facilities, maintenance issues that come up, we address those in partnership with other constituents on campus. And we also serve on call, so we are kind of like the crisis management, crisis response team after hours throughout the academic year.
Oh, okay. What buildings do you supervise?
Roman and Weeding halls.
How did the pandemic affect your work?
Oh, sure. So it kind of came out of nowhere. So, we were all kind of just idly waiting for updates, from the government to see what SUNY wanted to do.
Yeah.
And what we did was spring break, students went home and they just kind of were on standby waiting until they could get more information about coming back. And it was just it struck up a lot of nerves and anxiety because I was like, am I even going to have a job after this? Like, what does this look like? A big portion of what I do requires students to be on campus and students weren't here. So I think the major impact was being here and it was just very uneventful, if you will. Since it was primarily the residential life staff that was here. But it was cool because we all got to come together and, we did a lot of reach out to our students who were home just to check in with them, make sure they were okay. If there was anything that we could do to help them be academically successful and make sure that they were good, back in their home environments. Because, not everybody has a positive home environment. So it was nice to be able to be that support for them in that regard.
Really nice.
Yeah.
And thanks to our guest, Ryan Sinclair. We'll be right back with more Campus Views right after this. Stay with us.
No cell phone service, no television or internet connections, no electricity, and in some DEC Adirondack campgrounds, no roads either. Forked Lake is just one of the 52 campgrounds that you can explore in the Adirondack Mountains of New York State. This facility is a primitive camping experience. Each site is outfitted with just the basics. You've got to hike trails or paddle a canoe to get to each site, putting you right in the middle of the area's natural beauty. Too rustic for you? That's okay. The DEC offers a wide variety of experiences, including island camping, tent and trailer sites with electricity and running water, boat launch facilities, hiking trails, beaches, and more. And it's all just a click away. To find out more and to start planning for your next Adirondack adventure, log on to www.dec.ny.gov. You'll find all the information you need to start enjoying the great Adirondack outdoors in upstate New York.
Hello, I'm Christopher Rennes, and welcome back to this edition of Campus Views from the video production studio here on the campus of SUNY Cobleskill. Again, our guest here today is Ryan Sinclair, and we're talking about the residential director role on this edition of Campus Views. Thanks for staying with us.
No problem. Happy to be here.
So, what does it take to be a residential director?
A ton of patience. A ton of patience. In addition to patience, a lot of compassion. You know, a lot of the job or a lot of the role is meeting students where they are and helping them and supporting them to kind of get them to the next step, next level. So I think those are the two primary ones. And then you also got to be administratively focused, because there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of paperwork. Yeah.
So what does it take to become an RD? And like, what steps are there?
Sure. So at minimum, you have to have a bachelor's degree. It's kind of hard to say what you should study, because there's no bachelor's program for higher education, which is the field that the RD role falls under. But if you are interested in it, you could pursue a master's degree in higher ed administration or education. And that kind of puts you on the track to do student development or student affairs, whether you do private, SUNY, you know, whichever you prefer. I have a degree in wildlife management, but I'm looking to pursue a master's in education. So there's kind of how the connecting pieces. And again, just having those qualities and characteristics that are necessary to support students, you know, support students, and just being a good team player, that all kind of goes into one.
Okay. Well, that about wraps up our show here on Campus Views. I'm your host, Christopher Renez, and thanks to our guest, Ryan Sinclair, for taking the time out to chat today.
Thank you.
For more information about the 2-year and 4-year communication programs here at SUNY Cobleskill, visit www.cobleskill.edu today. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search for sunycobycomm on any of those platforms. You can also just search #SUNYCobycomm too. Once again, I'm Christopher Renez, and thanks for watching this edition of Campus Views from SUNY Cobleskill.